In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I bought $2 million worth of property at 21 years old. What's going on, everyone? My name is Bailey Kramer and welcome back to my channel where we talk all things real estate investing. I'm making this video to share my real estate story and hopefully inspire other investors to get started on their own journey. And make sure you stay till the end because I'll be revealing exactly what my $2 million real estate portfolio looks like at 21 years old. With all that being said, let's jump into it. Let's take it back to December 2019 when I was a sophomore in college at the University of Central Florida. Like most college students, I had no idea what I actually wanted to do with my life. At that point, I knew two main things. Number one, I wanted to make a lot of money, and number two, I wanted to have full control over my time. So with these two things in mind, I knew I wanted to start my own business and be an entrepreneur. So I hopped on my computer and started searching the best personal finance and business books on the internet. After clicking on a bunch of different lists that I found on Google, there was one book that kept coming up time and time again. And that book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this book about 1,000,000 times by now, but if you have not read it yet, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Definitely go pick up a copy of this book if you haven't read it yet, and to make it easy for you, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Alright, so after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I fell in love. I fell in love with the concepts that the author, Robert Kiyosaki, was sharing in the book, and it completely changed my perspective on money and finances. He talks about the simple differences between the rich and the poor, and how they treat assets, liabilities, and most importantly, themselves. If you can't tell, I was hooked on this book. And although it's not a real estate book, he does mention it a few times in there, which definitely caught my attention. So after I finished the book, I looked up who the author was, and it was Robert Kiyosaki, and I realized, or at least Google told me, that he owned tens of millions of dollars worth of real estate. I was so fired up at this point, I went right to the internet and looked up for myself how to get started in real estate investing. It was at that time where I stumbled across a website called biggerpockets.com. I like to think of them as the Facebook or LinkedIn for real estate investors. They have amazing tools and resources for connecting and learning with investors all over the world. So once I found BiggerPockets, I started what I call my education mode. This is where I was literally spending hours and hours every single day consuming content, mainly the BiggerPockets podcast. It was so addicting because each episode I was learning a brand new real estate concept. One episode was about fixing and flipping, then I learned about wholesaling, and then multifamily, and went on and on and on. At this point, I was absolutely hooked on the idea of real estate investing. I just had no idea where to start. I eventually got sucked in by the gurus, and I'm not gonna name any names, Grant Cardone, and fell in love with multifamily real estate investing, which is basically apartment complexes. At the time, I saw it as a path to make a boatload of money and become financially free in a year using the strategy of syndication. What I found out after a couple months is that multifamily syndications can be super lucrative, but it's to get really freaking wealthy over a long period of time, which is not what the gurus were teaching. And at the time, being 19 years old, I just wanted to get some experience and also make a little bit of money. So at this point, I jumped into the next phase, which I call the networking phase. I literally spent a couple hours every single day setting up and making networking calls with people that I met on BiggerPockets. At the time, I didn't really know the point of these calls. All I knew is that I wanted to talk with like-minded people who are doing exactly what I wanted to do. I have a couple other ninja networking tips, but I'll save those for another video. One other thing I did to grow my network was I joined a mastermind group. Essentially, a mastermind group is a group of people who come together to network and share resources, all to reach the same goal. And through the group, I met someone who's an experienced single-family investor. He approached me and said, "Hey Bailey, this market is super hot and I'm struggling to find deals. Do you want to help me out with lead generation?" I said, heck yeah, even though I had no experience in lead generation whatsoever. So my partner and I got talking and we decided we're gonna try cold calling. After a few weeks of him basically training me as the cold caller, what happened was I would make the calls and he'd go on the seller appointments to meet with these sellers face to face. We also tried other marketing systems like SMS campaigns and pretty much worked on the same system. Fast forward about 4 or 5 months, it's February of 2021, and my partner and I officially locked up our first real estate deal, which was a fix and flip. I'll be making a video detailing the ins and the outs of that first deal, so make sure you subscribe to this channel so you stay tuned when that episode is released. After locking up that first deal, I have to say, it was the best feeling in the entire world. It took me 1 year and 2 months from the day I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad to the day I finally closed on my first fix and flip. And let me tell you, it was not easy and there was a ton of hiccups along the way. Before I share the portfolio that I built at 21 years old, I want to share a few key lessons to watch out for as a new investor. Number one, do not follow the gurus. Simply put, follow the people who are actually showing what they're actually doing. Whether that be videos of them actually at properties or sharing real estate knowledge. Completely avoid the gurus who talk about how easy something is and how fast you can get rich. Tip number two, pick the strategy that best fits the life you want to create. There are a million different opportunities within real estate. No matter how old, young, rich, or poor you are, there's a strategy that you can get started with today within real estate. Tip number three, pay to play or seek to serve. Real estate is a relationship business. And when I first started out, I had absolutely zero connections. And now I have hundreds. In order to get around the right people, you really have two options. Number one, pay for mastermind groups to be part of exclusive circles and to surround yourself with A players. Or if you don't have a lot of money, option two is seek to serve. This means provide value to an already experienced real estate investor so you can get around them and learn from them for free. Provide so much value to them that they'd be crazy not to have you around. All right, now it's time to reveal my portfolio. I have bought a total of 6 properties, totaling a value of roughly $1.8 million by just 21 years old. I've also used several real estate investing strategies, including fixing and flipping, long-term rentals, and also short-term rentals. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, Bailey, how do you come up with all the money to buy your properties? Well, the answer is I've used seller financing to purchase 4 of them, I paid cash for 1 of them, and we use subject to for the other one. And when we do need money, we raise it from private investors. I made a few videos going in depth about each property, but if you haven't seen them, here's the quick and dirty. This is my first property. The purchase price was $85,000 and another $30,000 went towards renovations. So all in all, we raised $115,000. It's on the market now and we expect to sell it for $180,000. This is my Airbnb property that we bought for $779,000 using seller financing. We put another $80,000 into the property for renovations and raised a total of $180,000 from investors. And this thing is a cash flow beast. Here's a property I bought using seller financing and had to put 0% down. All we did was clean it and relist it, and we made a cool $22,000 between my partner and I. Here's another Airbnb property that we're actually renovating right now. We raised about $45,000 for this deal, and we did so through using investors. We bought this property using seller financing and again had to put 0% down. We spent a couple $1,000s for the remodel to get it rent ready. We now have it rented on a year-long lease, and we expect to make a 30% cash-on-cash return on this property. And last but not least, we have the Graham property. We bought this property using a strategy called subject to, and we cash flow about $600 per month between my partner and I. All right, there you have it. That's my real estate story in a nutshell up until this point, as well as a sneak peek into my real estate portfolio. If you want a deeper dive into the specific properties that I bought, check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. Last but not least, if you got value out of this video, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.